And we are live.
All righty. Sock and Springer Productions alive again here. This time we're going to discuss the exocrine glands with our little dummy Rudolph here. And we'll start out with the lower part of the body again, like we did with the endocrine glands. And we've got the testes and the ovaries down there, whether you're talking about male or female. And the thing with these, remembering the endocrine glands were the ductless glands. The exocrine glands have got a duct. They've got a tube that's secreting their materials out. So when you're talking about the testes with the male, they're located in the scrotum outside the abdominal cavity, and the primary function for them, being exocrine, is the production of sperm. Okay, not semen, but sperm. Semen, when we get to the reproductive chapter, will involve production of sperm, or the combination of sperm, seminal fluid, prostate fluid, and vulvourethral fluid. Okay, so sperm by itself are those active cells from meiosis being produced down there. And then similar with the ovaries. Excuse me. The ovaries are located up in the abdominal area, towards the back wall, right about in this region here. Okay, so unlike the testes, which are located down here, and the primary reason for the testes being located in that general area is to maintain a lower body temperature. They're away from the main bulk of the body, or not inside of it anyway, to have that 98.6 degree temperature. So they're about 3 to 4 degrees cooler out there, and that enhances sperm production. On the other hand, the eggs were already present when the female was born, the developing cells inside the ovaries, so that's not a real concern. You've already got that ability there. They just have to mature to the state to be released, and in a sense, they're not really a duct gland because they don't have a tube coming directly out of them. The fallopian tubes are closely attached to the ovaries, but close enough that the function is going to be determined as exocrine. Okay, we move up the body then, and we go to the pancreas. And discussing with the endocrine system, we centered mainly on the islets of Langerhans, those areas that produced insulin. When we're talking about the exocrine function, we have over here a little tubular structure, the pancreatic duct, that leads right into the duodenal part of the small intestine. Now we've got a variety of enzymes that are produced here, some of which, if you are lactose intolerant, then you're not producing enough lactase to help take care of those materials. And so some of the basic sugars in the body have a specific enzyme that's going to work with them that's being produced by the pancreas here. So sucrase is another type of sugar. We commonly think of that as table sugar, stuff you put on your cereal and other things. But that's sucrose, and the enzyme is sucrase. If you have a malt, you have some maltose in there, and maltase is the enzyme that takes care of that. So down the line, for specific sugars, certain proteins, you've got materials that are being produced here that are going to take care of that. As we move up, then we have the liver, and the largest internal organ of the body, largest organ of the body, and we'll get to that here after a bit, is the skin. But inside the body, you've got the liver. Liver can produce, some texts will say 200 functions, others will say upwards of 400 functions. There's a whole variety of things that are being done by the liver. The main material that's secreted and coming out of the liver is going to be bile. And so much for that. So what we've got in this area here is the bile duct, and we've got the gallbladder here that is really not producing anything. It's storing concentrated bile from the liver, and it's going to secrete out and connect into that bile duct also. But bile is produced by the liver to help break down fats in the small intestine. Like I said, that goes out the bile duct. So one of the many functions the liver does, but this is a primary exocrine gland function for it. Then we move up the body into the female body, and males also have mammary glands, but they're basically non-functional. Okay, and with the females up in this area where you have the breasts, you've got the mammary tissue that develops with the help of estrogen from the ovaries, that endocrine function we talked about in the previous video. And the mammaries will develop, those glandular structures will be enhanced, but not functionable until the woman is pregnant, and just prior to delivery will they start with the production of milk. And that first primary milk that's being produced is called colostrum, and it's high in fats and antibiotics and an excellent source of materials for a small baby. Sometimes they say that a child's IQ level can be increased by 2 to 3% by just being breastfed when they were small. Whether that's true or not, I think is open for debate, and there's still studies that are being carried on to that extent. But those are the mammary glands in the breast area of the female. Moving upwards then, we hit a number of others, but let's center right here in the corner of the eye. You're going to have the lacrimal glands, or what you call your tear glands, and they've got a little duct that goes out to the surface. And the primary solution produced there is, or material, it'd be tears, which are a high saline / salty solution that helps to cleanse and moisten the eye. You know, take care of it that way. We're constantly blinking to get some of that material in there. Emotionally, tends to, if times of distress, sadness, and can be extreme happiness too, but people will have a high production of tears coming from that little area. And if you look closely, you can almost tell where that's at, right in the inner corner of your eye. Okay, down the line, and we've got several in the mouth area, the salivary glands. So back here, let me swing the model over around this way first. Right in here is the parotid salivary gland. You can see the duct coming out here. The largest of the salivary glands. Underneath the tongue, you have the sublingual salivary glands, another one on the other side there. And then the submandibular salivary glands right in here. Those are responsible for the production of saliva, which does a couple of things. It lubricates the food material that's in the mouth with the process of chewing and manipulating with the tongue, and then kind of slickens it with that mucus material so it slides down the throat easier. And then the other process, there's a material called pethylin, a digestive enzyme that aids in the breakdown of carbohydrate materials, starches in particular. Okay, moving along, we go into the skin area. So the largest organ of the body is the skin, and you're going to have a number of little tiny pores around the whole body there. And we have a model here, which
Broken heart.
Okay, so with the skin, a couple of areas we want to concentrate on here. These little white structures here are the sweat glands. And we talked about different tissue types back in September, but we're just going to go along with the term here. Sweat glands, they're producing a watery fluid that's helping to regulate the body's temperature. When that's released and then evaporates from the skin, it helps draw heat away. it's one of our main cooling system structures. And there's a number of other ways that we can get rid of heat in the body also. And then we also have our sebaceous glands, which are little oil-producing glands, and right in these areas here along the hair follicles. And one of their functions is to keep the hair moist and flexible. And also, as it works its way to the surface of the skin, it's going to keep your skin moist and flexible. Now, the bad thing is, if you accumulate too much in surface areas, it can end up causing problems. Same with the sweat glands here. If things get plugged up, they're going to end up with problems, and you hear about zits being produced. Okay, that will wrap up our discussion of the glands. So we've discussed the endocrine glands and the exocrine glands, and we are finished.